Tuesday, let's see if I can guess the date. So 13th, Tuesday the 13th, that would be my guess. Oh, that's right, I can't, you know, if I'm listening to the radio and I put on a YouTube, they actually flag my video because of the song in the background on my, on the video as like being owned by a third party because I happen to be playing the radio in the background. So I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or not. I mean, everything's an issue with YouTube nowadays. It's still got the main viewership is on YouTube, and Vimeo is catching up a little bit, but basically it's YouTube that has the huge bulk of the. Come on, these people. If people could drive, I would just be shocked. It's YouTube that gets the viewers, and they have a pretty big monopoly on the whole online viewership. It's a Google thing. YouTube used to be independent, but no longer. No sir. Google has taken over the world. YouTube used to be its own thing, but of course they were bought out by who else? Google. Alright, we're going around here. We're going to go around the block because it's so much safer. Safety first with Al M. We believe in safety. Culture of safety. Don't turn into me, buddy. I got the camera on. Yeah, you know, I'm still processing the grievance baloney. And, you know, there were a lot of... Eric made another great post, and then See Where We Take You did, and then the Kyoto Kid. They all responded to the Joe Rose article about the memo to operators where customer service is first or whatever, and they all made these great points about the management's ability to diffuse blame for everything. And let's go around the car. Wow, I actually got out of there. I can't believe it. Did I beat my bus here? I don't know. There's no traffic today. I don't have my regular driver on there either. No, he must have got there on time because there's nobody there. The management's skill in diffusing any responsibility for anything that happens in this agency. This masterful skill they've developed at that. You know, where they don't take any responsibility for anything. And then you look at this grievance procedure, and what you see is exactly the same thing. There's no transcript of the hearing, and there's no written determination as to the final, you know, when they say no to you, they don't give you an explanation. You're just, it's just a no. So in other words, there's no documentation at all about this entire process. It's completely devoid of actual facts and figures. It's just all basically a big, well, we heard your grievance and here's your yes and no. And that's one hell of a way to conduct a fair hearing, isn't it? To not have any documentation supporting or otherwise given back to the person who's doing the grievance. And it's a shuffling of middle managers. It's not, you don't even go up to a higher level of management. You're going from one middle management to another middle management to then two more middle managers. And only in the end you get your two union people. And when you go to the meeting and you really watch the dynamic, you can see the extreme contrast between the union working people, the people that actually do the work, because there's Jeff Hunt, regardless of whether you like him or not, he actually does work, and he's a mechanic, right? So he works, and Duncan, what was Bruce Duncan? That was his name? you know, he actually is in the office. I think he does. I don't know what his role is anymore. He's doing some kind of work. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't know whether it's a road. I don't remember, but you can see the difference in the appearances, the stark contrast between the appearance of these middle managers and people that are doing the work. I mean, there's like a line there where they're so different in appearance and composure. I mean, these managers are so polished. I don't know, Lyle has really gotten polished since the last time I've seen him. Robert Romo still looked like there was a little bit of humanity left in him, just from his physical appearance. I'm just talking physical appearance. That guy Duncan, I don't know, that middle manager, that rail guy, not Duncan, the other guy, Allison is his name. I found out later that he is a rail manager. Well, he's really, boy, I can see dealing with him is impossible. I mean, he's the guy with the stare right through you. He's got the stare that will go right through you. He's perfected that, you know. And he was the main person who was throwing. Anytime I had a point, he would throw a wrench in it. No matter, you know, he kept throwing wrenches in anything I had to say. You know, he was not obviously open to any kind of. He was not going to give me any of my points, no matter what. He was, you know, he was already going to. Well, you know, for me to even bring that up is silly because both managers were going to support the other manager. So I really don't understand what the point is of having the grievance process, because first of all, you don't have any. You don't move up the chain of command. You're down with these mid-level managers who all know each other, I'm sure, and talk to each other. And second of all, you don't even get to have a union represented until you get to this third step. But then tie goes to the company. So what's the point of this? This procedure is a joke. I'm glad I went through it just to experience it, because it's a joke. I mean, I don't know who came up with it, or why would the union agree to this? And now the time frame involved in getting all of this heard is ridiculous. It took me 9 months to get to this. So I haven't decided if I'm going to ask for arbitration or not, because basically their rule is valueless in the real world. I'm not sure why they are so adamant about having this on top of me anyway, just to show me who's boss or something, I suppose so, because that's how they are. I mean, it is significant in the sense that if you look at the bigger issue, the issue is, does the management have the right to regulate our off-duty behavior? That's the bigger issue here. No matter how you want to look at it, that is really the actual issue. Now they're going to say, well, no, this has to do with operators posting their audio and video of each other. Even if it is on an open airwave, it still counts. Well, the day I am not an employee here, if I'm still living in Portland, there's going to be a field day. Maybe they're going to encrypt their communications. I'm not really sure what they're so scared of. It's just crazy, you know. I'm not really sure. And for me, and for them to say that the operator is so humiliated they couldn't go to work that day because of their behavior over the airway, that's off the wall. I mean, you have a really weak operator there apparently that needs some training. You're not in a secret environment, you know. All those passengers saw you, whatever. It's not a secret environment. So yeah, I think it's just a power trip. I just think the management's power tripping me. I think it just comes down to that. So I furthermore look at it as another example of management protecting itself, insulating itself from the effects of any negativity, because the middle managers have all shuffled this amongst themselves, thereby insulating the top managers. The top manager hasn't gotten involved, and there's no written documentation of the hearings. There's none. So the paranoia in the recording that they have, the paranoia, I mean, it is extreme paranoia they have about recording, immediately should give you a hint that this is a very slimy bunch of people. They do not want to have you putting them on the record on anything. They want carte blanche. You know, don't you ever quote us. We will manipulate whatever information we feel we need to do what we want to do. And the fact that they will not absolutely allow any documentation is really a testimony to poor management, as far as I'm concerned. Poor management, and management that has no interest in a real justice, you know, no interest in really finding any kind of justice in what they're doing. And when you watch these board meetings, you see the same thing. You see the Neil always focusing on drivers. You know, they've sprung up this huge safety bureaucracy. Those of you that have been watching, which probably nobody that's actually an operator, but the people that watch this stuff, you can see this is the equivalent of a 9/11 event, because after 9/11, remember, this huge bureaucracy has sprung up because of that, and that's what TriMet has done. Exactly the same thing. There was this one event, an event that happened once in 42 years, one person, not a whole slew of them. They didn't have like 7 accidents by 7 operators, each of who killed 2 people in a crosswalk, and they have never, ever, this is the worst, this is the biggest thing, and I keep saying it over and over again, they have never, ever opened up the work day of Sandy Day. They've never told us her work day. How many hours was it? How late was she? How packed was that bus? They have never given us the opportunity to know what the stress factors were in her work day. They did not allow us that. They did not allow us to have that. Okay, so we do not get to know any of that. And my bet is that she had one hell of a day that day. And she was so happy to get out of there. She got careless in her rush to get home. That's my bet. You know, I know how I feel when I get to the end of a work shift. If I've really been stressed, I'm like in a rush to get out. I'm in a rush to go home because it's really been a bad day. That's my bet. And she herself said she was looking at the other side of the crosswalk. I mean, the courtesy stop thing, maybe they should reconsider that completely, really. Unless it's not in downtown at all. No courtesy stops. I personally don't mind, but it does create opportunities for accidents. That's the problem with that. Every time you don't stick to your rule, every time if you say once the bus is pulled away from the stop, for example, you cannot let people on. I think there should always be an exception for when you're stopped at a red light. I've never agreed that you shouldn't open the door when you're stopped, when you're already stopped. I've always found that incredible that some operators will not open the door. You're stopped. What difference does it make? But a uniform set of rules here might help, but that are uniformly applied. You know, you need to have a uniformly applied structure for it to actually work. You know, you have to make a statement to the effect of, like, okay, all operators starting this day are expected to do X. Like in the case of the transfers, we expect every operator to inspect the transfers completely, and we would do that. It has to be uniform. Of course, you can forget your schedules, because I can't read the transfers. I seriously can't read transfers, and that's kind of a problem. You know, when you're operating a vehicle, if you can't read what you're showing you, I'd have to literally take these transfers